Step into the world of Allo Allo. 1982 to 1992, the beloved British sitcom filled with humor, charm, and unforgettable characters. While the show continues to bring laughter to fans, many of the talented actors who brought it to life have tragically passed away. This tribute takes a heartfelt look at the lives, careers, and untimely losses of those who made Allo Allo a TV classic. From their iconic roles to the personal struggles they faced, we remember the stars who left a lasting legacy in comedy and television. Join us as we honor their contributions and the impact they made, even after their untimely departures. Gordon Kaye, born on April 7, 1941, began portraying René Artois in 1982 at the age of 41. His role as the sly, flirtatious cafe owner made him a staple of the show's farcical chaos. But behind the scenes, Kaye's life was far from comedic. In 1990, a violent car crash during a storm nearly killed him, splitting his skull and causing brain trauma. Yet what truly haunted him wasn't the accident, it was the unauthorized hospital room photos published by a tabloid while he lay unconscious. The scandal rocked British media ethics and left Kaye deeply distrustful. A closeted gay man in an unforgiving era, he kept relationships secret and lived alone, withdrawing from public life. He suffered bouts of depression and reportedly clashed with producers over money and the series' tone. Known on set for mood swings and occasional tirades, some crew members described him as intense and unpredictable. Kaye died on January 23, 2017, aged 75, from heart failure linked to declining health and years of isolation. Richard Marner, born March 27, 1921, became Colonel Kurt von Strom in 1982 at the age of 61. On screen, he was all comedic timing and bluster, but Marner's real life was marked by exile, identity crisis, and suspicion. Born Alexander Molchanov, he fled the Russian Revolution, grew up in Germany, and later served in the British military, yet was frequently dogged by whispers that he'd concealed Nazi sympathies. Though never proven, MI5 reportedly held a file on him during the Cold War. In theater, he was known as a perfectionist but also a domineering figure, with one co-star claiming he ruled rehearsals like a general. He never married and was estranged from his brother over a decades-old inheritance feud. Despite a successful run on Allo Allo, his career quietly dwindled, and he faded from public view, often seen walking alone in North London parks, muttering in Russian. Marner died on March 18, 2004, aged 82, from natural causes after years of ill health. Carmen Sylva, born June 2, 1922, joined Allo Allo. In 1982 at age 60, playing Edith Artois, the grating wife with delusions of musical grandeur. But Sylva's off-screen story was no laughing matter. During World War II, she narrowly avoided death in the Blitz and later revealed in an interview she'd suffered sexual assault early in her career, an experience she said shaped her fierce independence. Her marriage ended in bitter divorce after rumors of infidelity, and she later admitted in a rare moment of candor that she never trusted men again. Behind her bubbly public persona was a chain-smoking recluse who shunned close friendships and rarely let colleagues into her private life. She was known to clash with younger actresses, allegedly accusing one co-star of using her looks instead of talent. Sylva refused chemotherapy when diagnosed with lung cancer, reportedly saying she'd had enough of fighting. She passed away on August 3, 2002, aged 80, from lung cancer. Kenneth Connor, born June 6, 1918, joined Allo Allo. In 1984 at age 66, portraying the morbidly charming undertaker Monsieur Alphonse. Behind the smile, Connor lived a life scarred by obsession, paranoia, and an overwhelming need for validation. He was a veteran of British comedy, but never felt respected among serious actors, and he openly despised his carry-on legacy. His marriage, though long-lasting, was riddled with volatility, and close friends recounted late-night rants about betrayal and mediocrity. He reportedly struggled with gambling debts in the 1970s and once collapsed backstage from stress and alcohol abuse. On set, he was a stickler for lines, sometimes rewriting co-stars' dialogue without permission, leading to heated arguments. Rumors swirled that he was pushed out of later projects due to difficult behavior. In his final years, he grew reclusive, avoiding industry events and refusing interviews. Connor died of cancer on November 28, 1993, at the age of 75. Roger Hammond, born on March 21, 1936, portrayed the peculiar monk in 1991 at the age of 55. Known for his scholarly air and delicate delivery, Hammond imbued his character with delightful eccentricity. A classically trained actor, Hammond had aspirations for Shakespearean acclaim, but instead found himself in oddball TV roles. His career suffered after being blacklisted by a powerful producer following a backstage argument, an incident whispered about in London theatre circles. His marriage collapsed in the 1980s after his wife allegedly discovered letters from a much younger male admirer, leading to quiet speculation about Hammond's suppressed sexuality. He became reclusive, obsessed with his weight and appearance, undergoing crash diets and cosmetic dental work in a futile attempt to win better roles. Though charming in public, he was prone to mood swings and erratic behavior on set. Several co-stars claimed he was unapproachable and prone to storming off over minor rewrites. Hammond died of cancer on November 8, 2012, at 76. Sam Kelly, born December 19, 1943, began playing Captain Hans Gearing in 1982 at 39, infusing the role with a daft cheerfulness that belied his private anguish. Kelly's career should have soared, but after abruptly leaving Allo Allo. In 1987, whispers of disputes over pay and creative direction circulated. Off-screen, Kelly battled chronic illness and what he called the dark voice, a lifelong struggle with depression. Friends revealed he was devastated after the suicide of a close companion in the late 90s, an event he never spoke about publicly. A deeply private man, he never married and allegedly distanced himself from family. He was known to disappear for months, only to resurface for small theater roles. In his final years, the industry all but forgot him, and he quietly passed away on June 14, 2014, aged 70, from cancer. Few attended his funeral, fitting for a man who mastered making others laugh while quietly crumbling inside. Jack Hedley was born on October 28, 1929, and played General von Karzabrot in 1992 at the age of 63. His character brought a sharp contrast to the chaotic slapstick of Allo Allo, adding a chilling gravitas with his clipped military demeanor. After early fame in the world of Tim Fraser, his career declined, plagued by clashes with directors and an unwillingness to adapt to television's changing tides. Though publicly charming, Hedley was infamous among co-stars for his aloofness and controlling behavior. He never married, and his private life remained a mystery, though there were whispers of an estranged son he refused to acknowledge. The emotional isolation deepened in his later years when close friends and peers died or drifted away. Hedley was known for drinking heavily alone, growing increasingly bitter about being forgotten by the industry. Rumors persisted of him verbally berating younger actors on set and mocking directors he deemed incompetent. He died on December 11, 2021, at the age of 92, following a short illness. Eric Dodson was born on December 1, 1920, and appeared as the intelligence officer in 1991 at the age of 71. His role added an undercurrent of scheming absurdity to the wartime farce. Dodson's career, though long, was littered with professional disappointments. He was frequently cast as forgettable supporting characters and bitterly joked that he was forever the second man through the door. Despite a promising start in repertory theater, Dodson's film ambitions were repeatedly dashed due to his reputation for being difficult and erratically punctual. His wife left him in the 1960s, citing his obsessive gambling habit and unbearable narcissism. After their split, Dodson became increasingly solitary, living in a cluttered house filled with betting slips and unopened fan mail. He suffered several health scares due to heavy smoking and untreated hypertension. On set, Dodson would often lash out at crew members or vanish mid-shoot to place bets at nearby bookmakers. He died on January 13, 2000, aged 79, from heart failure. Jeremy Lloyd, born July 22, 1930, was 52 when he embodied Wolfgang in 1982, a flamboyant role that mirrored his own chaotic creativity. A co-creator of Allo Allo, Lloyd lived in a constant swirl of parties, eccentricity, and excess. Once engaged to Joanna Lumley, he broke off the relationship amid tabloid rumors of infidelity and a spiral into drug use. Lloyd's early life was steeped in abandonment. His parents left him with a nanny for most of his childhood, a trauma he masked with biting humor and impulsive romances. He was married and divorced twice, both times citing creative incompatibility, though insiders hinted at violent arguments and suspected affairs with much younger men. Professionally, Lloyd was hailed as a comedy genius, but collaborators often found him unpredictable, reputedly rewriting entire scenes minutes before filming, and prone to paranoid rants about stolen ideas. He declared bankruptcy in the late 1990s after failed ventures and tax issues, retreating into isolation. He died on December 23, 2014, aged 84, after collapsing from pneumonia complications. Michael Shur, born June 18, 1938, took on the role of Goring's double in 1992's final season of Allo Allo. At 54, his appearance was a dark comedic nod, and Shur leaned into the grotesque absurdity with eerie precision. But beneath his success in roles like Admiral Ozzel in Star Wars, Shur was mired in typecasting frustration and a growing bitterness. His time as Mr. Bronson in Grange Hill brought fame, but he privately loathed the role, calling it a career trap in his unpublished memoir. He had frequent blow-ups with co-stars and was rumored to have been warned by Lucasfilm for making lewd comments on set. His marriage was reportedly held together by necessity rather than affection, and one of his children stopped speaking to him entirely after a particularly public argument in a hotel lobby. In his later years, he battled cancer quietly, refusing chemotherapy for months out of pride and distrust in medical professionals, according to a close friend. Michael Shur died on August 31, 2005, at the age of 67 from cancer. Stanley Leber, born September 24, 1934, played the gypsy leader in Allo Allo. In 1991 at the age of 57. His character, although brief, added an unpredictable flair to the final season, embodying a chaotic presence that shook up the comedic rhythm of the show. While hailed for his turn in ever-decreasing circles, Leber was often typecast and passed over for leading roles due to an infamously combative attitude on set. Colleagues quietly referred to him as the storm in the dressing room, known for heated arguments with directors and an alleged altercation that led to a temporary ban from the BBC. His personal life was even more fractured. A troubled marriage ended in a bitter divorce in the 1980s, with accusations of emotional manipulation surfacing in tabloids. Estranged from his only child, Leber lived his final years in near isolation. Rumors of gambling debts and depressive episodes plagued him privately, while publicly he remained tight-lipped. He died on November 23, 2014, at the age of 80 from undisclosed causes. Peggy Clifford, born March 23, 1921, portrayed the French lady in Allo Allo. In 1985 at the age of 64. The character, though small, encapsulated the weary resilience of wartime civilians. Clifford's off-screen life, however, was a collage of disillusionment. Once hailed as a rising talent in post-war theater, her star dimmed quickly due to her refusal to conform to industry beauty standards. Her blunt demeanor earned her the nickname the Iron Wench among male producers, one of whom allegedly blacklisted her after she rejected his advances. Clifford never married, and close friends hinted at a string of volatile relationships with both men and women, some marked by public screaming matches in West End bars. She suffered from untreated bipolar disorder at a time when such diagnoses were taboo, and her erratic behavior often led to sudden firing from promising roles. In the last decade of her life, Clifford was reportedly living in a bedsit in Camden, largely forgotten. She died on May 26, 1986, at 65, from complications related to a stroke. John Bluthl, born August 12, 1929, took on the role of the tailor in Allo Allo in 1984 when he was 55. His character, though minor, added an essential texture to the local French townsfolk, grounding the absurdity in warmth. But Bluthl's real-life story was filled with shadows far darker than the sitcom's hijinks. Known for his work in The Vicar of Dibley, he masked a lifetime of professional rejection and bitter feuds. Sources from Thames Television claimed he was nearly blacklisted in the 1970s for uncooperative behavior and for walking off set mid-taping. Behind closed doors, his marriage teetered on dysfunction, rocked by an alleged affair with a young drama student decades his junior. His son distanced himself from the family, later giving a rare interview describing Bluthl as a man more in love with applause than his own blood. A devout Catholic publicly, he privately battled internalized guilt about his bisexuality, something only confirmed posthumously by former partners. He died on November 15, 2018, at age 89 of natural causes. Rose Hill was born on June 5, 1914, and began playing the shrieking, bedbound Madame Fanny in 1982 at the age of 68. Though she had once graced the Royal Shakespeare Company and opera stages, by the 1980s she was considered difficult, known for tantrums, diva behavior, and a refusal to work past 4 p.m. on set. Her career stalled, not from lack of talent, but because few could tolerate her sharp tongue and paranoia. She reportedly believed fellow castmates were conspiring to sabotage her cues. Off-screen, her personal life was no less tumultuous. A string of failed relationships, including a rumored affair with a much younger stagehand, earned her quiet derision in theater circles. She never married and was known to obsessively collect porcelain dolls, which she spoke to as if they were her lost children, possibly a reflection of a miscarriage she reportedly suffered in her 30s that left her emotionally shattered. In later years, dementia set in, compounding her solitude. Rose Hill died on December 22, 2003, at age 89, from natural causes in a care home. Robin Parkinson, born on October 25, 1929, took on the role of Ernest Leclerc in 1991 at the age of 62. In Allo Allo, Ernest was a bumbling replacement for his brother, often caught in the farcical chaos yet exuding a peculiar charm. Behind the camera, however, Parkinson's career was marred by professional insecurity. After being repeatedly typecast in minor roles, he was briefly blacklisted from BBC productions in the late 70s following a heated feud with a producer, allegedly involving threats and drunken outbursts. Privately, his marriage faced quiet turmoil, with whispers of extramarital affairs and long separations. He was estranged from one of his daughters for nearly 2 decades due to what she later called his emotional unavailability. In his final years, Parkinson battled Parkinson's disease, cruelly ironic, and dementia, reportedly growing bitter and reclusive. He died on May 7, 2022, at 92, from complications related to his illness. John Louis Monty, born November 8, 1926, took on the role of the bumbling Herr Engelbert von Smallhausen in 1985 at the age of 59. Plagued by self-doubt due to his mixed Italian-English heritage, Monty often felt like an outsider in the British acting world. He battled severe anxiety and was rumored to have suffered a breakdown in the late 1970s, vanishing from public life for nearly 2 years. His comeback through Allo Allo was marred by behind-the-scenes clashes. He was said to be jealous of Richard Gibson, her flick, and accused writers of minimizing his screen time. His personal life fared no better. After 2 failed marriages and a son who disowned him due to Monty's volatile behavior, he withdrew from the spotlight. An obsessive chain smoker, he was rarely seen without a cigarette, even on set, ignoring warnings from producers. Diagnosed with lung cancer in the late 2000s, he refused chemotherapy, claiming he'd lived a disposable life. John Lewis Monty died on August 6, 2010, at age 83 from lung cancer, his final years spent in self-imposed exile. Jack Haig was born on January 5, 1913, and began portraying the eccentric Roger LeClaire in 1982 at age 69. A master of timing and farce, Haig brought joy to millions, but his own life was quietly tragic. The son of music hall performers, he was raised in the wings of theaters, but at the cost of a stable home. He developed a compulsive gambling habit early on, losing a fortune in horse betting by the time he hit 40, leading to a bankruptcy that nearly cost him his marriage. Though beloved on screen, Haig's colleagues noted his extreme mood swings and frequent absences. Some days he would vanish mid-filming, only to be found later sitting alone in pubs, drowning in silent melancholy. His only daughter cut ties with him in the 1970s after a bitter falling out over his finances. Rumors swirled that he was investigated for tax fraud in the late 1980s, though nothing was proven. Diagnosed with prostate cancer, he chose to continue working through pain, fearing obscurity more than death. Jack Haig passed away on July 4, 1989, at age 76, from cancer. Hilary Minster, born March 21, 1944, embodied the icy, authoritarian General Erich von Klinkerhoffen in 1984 at the age of 40. But Minster's personal life was a stark contrast, riddled with emotional fragility and secrets he fiercely protected. Struggling with his sexuality in an era hostile to openness, Minster lived a double life. Though publicly seen at events with female companions, close friends knew of his long-term, turbulent relationship with a male theater director. This hidden life bred emotional chaos. Minster was known to disappear for days, even during production. His drinking became a problem. One co-star recalled him arriving drunk to set more than once, eyes vacant, voice slurred. Professionally, he was branded unreliable, and after Allo Allo, casting agents grew wary. Minster's bitterness grew as his fame dwindled. Diagnosed with cancer in the late 1990s, he refused to go public, reportedly fearing it would define him more than his art. He died on November 24, 1999, at just 55, from cancer. Derek Royal, born September 7, 1928, was 61 when he portrayed Ernest LeClaire in Allo Allo. In 1989, Royal's character, like Parkinson's, was often the subject of humorous mishaps, yet behind the scenes, he was a complex figure. Despite his years of successful television and theater work, Royal was notoriously difficult to work with, known for his short temper and on-set arguments. His career suffered setbacks after being implicated in a scandal during a theater production in the late 70s, which left him blacklisted for several years. His personal life, too, was fraught with difficulties. Royal struggled with alcoholism, which contributed to the collapse of his second marriage. Though he had a daughter, he was estranged from her for many years due to his emotional distance and neglect. Royal's health was also a concern in his later years, as he battled undiagnosed neurological issues while still appearing on screen. His sudden death on January 23, 1990, at 61, was attributed to a heart attack. Amy Delmain, born April 21, 1906, portrayed Madame Sablin in Allo Allo. In 1987, when she was 81. While Delmain's portrayal of a stern but caring character in the show was memorable, her life was far from the dignified persona she often played on screen. In her early years, Delmain faced a dark period marked by a breakdown after an affair with a married director who later refused to credit her for a major project. The affair ended in scandal, and Delmain retreated from the public eye for a while. Throughout her career, she was often typecast as the matronly figure, a role that stifled her ambitions. Though she remained unmarried, Delmain was known for her eccentricities in later years, including cryptic statements and strange, solitary habits. Neighbors reported that she became increasingly paranoid and withdrawn, and her once bustling career dwindled into sporadic guest spots. Despite her early successes, Delmain passed away on June 18, 1999, at 93, after living in near isolation for several years. Who is your favorite character in Allo Allo? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.